Chapter 33, Part 3, Tensions and Legends. The early evening sky was a tapestry of bruised purples and deep oranges as the tribe and the group converged around the fallen debris that barred the entrance to the Temple of Crystals. The once sacred passage, now choked by a precarious pile of stones and rubble from the collapsed cave-in, loomed before them like a forgotten gate to the past, a reminder of the temple's former majesty and the peril that still clung to its history. Vermicalis, his silver-streaked hair catching the dying light, stood at the forefront with a commanding presence. His sun-worn face, etched by years of duty and hardened resolve, surveyed the chaos with sharp, calculating eyes. "We move swiftly, yet carefully," he ordered in a measured tone that brooked no argument. "Our strength lies in unity. Clear the debris, secure the perimeter, and remain alert for any signs of danger. The temple must be reclaimed." At his side, Thomas was already a whirlwind of strength and determination. His colossal frame made short work of lifting and repositioning the boulders that blocked the passage. Each heave was accompanied by the quiet hum of his relic-bound arm, a testament to its silent, potent power. With every calculated movement, Thomas bolstered the group's efforts, rallying the tribe's laborers to work in tandem, sharing the weight of an ancient burden. Nearby, Lucas and Mina moved with restless energy. Their faces, shadowed by the weight of prophecy and the grim reality of the mountain, betrayed the silent storm raging within. Lucas's eyes darted from one unstable stone to the next, a subtle telepathic pulse linking him to Mina's growing anxiety. The pressure of their fate, the destiny hinted at by the relics that marked their bodies, had taken its toll. Mina's movements were quick and precise, her hands trembling ever so slightly, not from fatigue, but from an internal struggle as she tried to reconcile her role in the unfolding prophecy with the immediate task at hand. Candice moved among them like a guardian spirit, her amber eyes filled with both resolve and concern. She offered steady, concise instructions to those unsure of their tasks, all the while keeping a keen watch on both the physical and the mystical hazards that lurked in the shadows of the mountain's slopes. Despite the collective strength, progress was agonizingly slow. The initial manual clearing had proven inadequate. The natural heft of the rocks and the uncertainty of their placement made every step a precarious gamble. Tribal members, weathered by years of survival and hardened by duty, exchanged worried glances as their hands and muscles strained against the stubborn debris. "Manual labor won't suffice for long," Vermicalis remarked, his tone grim as he assessed the mounting pile of stones. "We must rethink our approach if we are to secure the temple before nightfall deepens the shadows around us." The challenge was clear. The tribe's unity and sheer will were being tested as much by the physical demands of the task as by the creeping dread of what lay within the temple's sealed heart. With a slow nod to Thomas, Vermicalis indicated that it was time to adapt their strategy, perhaps employing some of the more ingenious methods known only to those who had guarded this sacred site for generations. In the lingering light of early evening, as the sounds of determined shouts and clashing stones resonated off the rocky slopes, the group braced themselves for the next phase. Amid the palpable tension and the silent burden of their destinies, the efforts to clear the blockage became a microcosm of their larger struggle. A battle against time, fate, and the enigmatic forces that had led them to this fateful moment. The early evening air grew colder as the Watcher's shadow stretched fully across the stronghold, swallowing the last hints of the sun on the eastern slopes. Around the collapsed entrance to the Temple of Crystals, the frantic energy of the Nythari elves hadn't waned, their shovels and hands working tirelessly against the stubborn rockfall under the flickering light of torches. A low murmur of elvish prayers and determined grunts filled the space, a sound laced with desperation. Standing back near Thomas, Dira, and Altheris, Lucas shifted his weight, his gaze fixed on the unyielding barrier of stone and earth. The mountain loomed, a silent, oppressive presence, and he felt its ancient weight settling onto his shoulders, mingling with the persistent thrum of the prophecy deep within him. A restless energy coiled in his gut, a familiar anxiety amplified by their surroundings and the urgent need to breach the temple. He met Mina's bright green eyes, sensing her own tightly wound impatience through their permanent telepathic link. The slow, back-breaking work of the elves felt agonizingly insufficient against the hidden dangers they knew lay beyond. The researchers' team, the temple's unstable state. It's too slow, Lucas projected, the thought sharp and decisive. We can't wait. Mina nodded almost imperceptibly, her usual calm composure strained, her athletic frame tense. The risk is necessary, he finished. Together. A silent agreement passed between them, a shared understanding forged in countless trials. They stepped away from the others, finding a clearer space slightly removed from the immediate excavation efforts. The Nythari workers barely registered their movement, too engrossed in their task. Taking parallel stances, Lucas and Mina closed their eyes for a fraction of a second, drawing inward, sinking their minds. The familiar pathway of their telepathic bond flared, a current running hot and fast between them. Lucas reached out with his telekinesis, a tendril of focused thought probing the dense rubble, seeking structural weaknesses. Mina joined him, her own power weaving around his, amplifying it, sharpening its edge. The air around them grew taut, charged with an unseen force. Dust motes danced near their boots as raw power coalesced, channeled not outward, but inward, compressing into the heart of the rockslide. Thomas, ever watchful, sensed the shift before he saw it. He saw the intense concentration on their faces, the faint shimmer in the air between them. His eyes widened. "Everyone! Back! Get clear!" he roared, his voice cutting through the sounds of labor. He instinctively moved towards Candice, who stood observing nearby, pulling her slightly behind him just as the energy peaked. With a final unified mental push, Lucas and Mina unleashed the pent-up force. It wasn't a conventional explosion, but a deep, resonant thrum that vibrated through the very stone beneath their feet, followed instantly by a concussive crack. The telekinetic shockwave pulsed inward, shattering rock, then erupted violently outward. Stone shrieked and splintered. Dust and debris vomited into the air, a chaotic cloud obscuring everything. A jagged piece of rock, the size of a man's head, hurtled directly towards Candice. Thomas reacted instantly, raising his relic-bound arm. Metal and magic flared as the projectile slammed into the augmented limb with a deafening clang, shattering harmlessly. He staggered back a step from the impact, turning a furious glare towards Lucas and Mina as the dust began to swirl and settle. Silence descended, thick and sudden, broken only by the soft patter of falling pebbles and the ringing in everyone's ears. The Nythari elves stared, frozen mid-motion, their faces a mixture of shock and awe, some instinctively reaching for weapons. Through the thinning dust, a dark opening was now visible where the worst of the rubble had been, a ragged maw leading into the mountain's heart. A wave of shock and horror washed over Mina as the dust began to clear, the image of the hurtling rock and Thomas's desperate block replaying in her mind. "Lucas," she projected, her mental voice laced with fear and regret. "Candice." Lucas felt the same icy dread grip him. His gaze snapped to Candice, then to Thomas's furious expression. A knot of guilt tightened in his chest. He hadn't anticipated the force being so scattered. "I didn't mean to," he projected back to Mina, his mental voice tight with anxiety. He took a step forward, his eyes fixed on Candice, a silent apology forming on his lips. The last of the loose rock and earth crumbled away, revealing not the solid wall they had expected, but a dark, gaping maw. A collective gasp rippled through the assembled group of Nythari workers, their torches casting dancing shadows on the newly revealed entrance. The air that wafted from within was cool and carried a faint, earthy scent, unlike the crisp mountain air they had grown accustomed to. Vermicalis, his usually stern face etched with a mixture of anticipation and apprehension, stepped forward, his hand resting on the hilt of his ceremonial dagger. This is it," he murmured, his voice carrying a weight of centuries, a passage unseen by any living Nythari. He held his torch aloft, peering into the darkness. The tunnel appeared to descend gently, the rough-hewn walls hinting at ancient craftsmanship, though obscured by time and shadow. Queen Aphyrosia, her silver hair gleaming in the torchlight, moved with her characteristic grace to stand beside Vermicalis. Her gaze, usually serene, held a flicker of intense curiosity. "Indeed, Vermicalis, it seems our efforts have borne fruit. Lead the way." With a nod, Vermicalis gestured for the others to follow. The Nythari workers, their initial awe giving way to a more practical concern for their leader's safety, formed a protective perimeter as the main party. Lucas, Mina, Thomas, Dira, Candice, and Altheris prepared to enter the unknown. Lucas, his hand instinctively reaching for Mina's, felt a familiar surge of nervous energy. The air crackled with a sense of the profound, of stepping into a place untouched by time. Mina squeezed his hand in return, her bright green eyes reflecting the torchlight, a hint of excitement mixed with her usual focused concern. Thomas, ever the pragmatist, checked the fastenings on his backpack, his gaze sweeping over the tunnel entrance. Well, no turning back now, is there? Let's see what secrets this mountain has been keeping. Candice, her Nythari senses likely already picking up nuances unseen by the others, moved with a quiet confidence. She exchanged a brief, knowing look with Vermicalis before stepping into the tunnel, her hand close to the hilt of her dagger. Altheris, ever vigilant, brought up the rear, his keen eyes scanning the surroundings, the faint hum of his advanced camera device a subtle counterpoint to the crackling torches. Dira, clutching her notebook tightly, followed Thomas, her anxious eyes darting between the dark walls. As they ventured into the tunnel, the sounds of the outside world faded, replaced by the soft crunch of their boots on the earthen floor and the hushed whispers of their voices. The air grew cooler, and a sense of anticipation hung heavy in the silence. "So," Lucas began, his voice echoing slightly in the confined space, "what do you think we'll find in this temple of crystals, Vermicalis?" Vermicalis walked at the forefront, his torch illuminating their path. "The legends speak of a place of immense power, young Lucas, a nexus of energy within the very heart of the Watcher. It is said that the crystals there resonate with the mountain's lifeblood, amplifying magical energies and holding ancient wisdom." "Ancient wisdom?" Dira interjected, her voice barely above a whisper. "Like what kind of wisdom?" "Knowledge of the past, perhaps," Vermicalis replied, his gaze fixed on the path ahead. "Insights into the prophecies, maybe even answers to the questions that plague us all." Queen Aphyrosia nodded in agreement. "The Temple of Crystals has always been considered sacred by the Nythari. It is believed to be the place where the very first of our people communed with the spirits of the mountain." A thoughtful silence descended upon the group as they continued their descent. The tunnel twisted and turned, occasionally widening into small, cavernous sections before narrowing again. The air grew thick with the scent of damp earth, and something else, something subtly metallic, that pricked at Lucas's senses. It was Mina who broke the silence. "Vermicalis, you mentioned something about the Heart of the Watcher earlier. What is the legend behind that?" Vermicalis stopped, holding his torch higher, his gaze sweeping over the rough-hewn walls. "Ah, yes. The legend of the Heart of the Watcher is central to our understanding of this sacred place. It is said that long, long ago, before the dwarves even carved their first mines into these mountains, the Watcher was a living entity, a being of immense power and wisdom. Its heart, a colossal crystal of unimaginable purity, pulsed with the very essence of life and magic." He continued, his voice taking on a reverent tone. "This heart, according to the legend, was not merely a physical organ, but a source of profound connection to the spiritual realm. It allowed the Watcher to see across vast distances, to understand the flow of time, and to communicate with the very fabric of existence. The Temple of Crystals was built around this heart, a sanctuary to harness its power and seek its guidance." "What happened to it?" Lucas asked, his curiosity piqued. "To the heart, I mean." Vermicalis's expression darkened slightly. "The legend becomes fragmented here, shrouded in the mists of time and the bitterness of ancient conflict. It is said that during a cataclysmic event, a great sundering, the Watcher's physical form was broken, and its heart, though still radiating immense power, was somehow displaced. Some believe it remains hidden deep within the mountain, its energy still flowing through the Temple of Crystals." He paused, his gaze drifting into the shadows. Others believe that fragments of this great heart were scattered, lost to the ages. And this," he gestured around the tunnel, "this temple was meant to be its sanctuary, the place where its power would be honored and protected." "So, if the Temple of Crystals was meant to house something so powerful," Thomas mused, "what exactly were we supposed to find there?" Before the dwarves, you know, Vermicalis' jaw tightened. Before the dwarves, this temple would have been the rightful repository for the relics you now carry, Lucas, and the one bound to Mina. The heart of the Watcher, or the energy that remained of it, was believed to be the key to understanding and controlling their immense power. Our ancestors believed that within the Temple of Crystals, the Children of Hybris, as your prophecy names you, would have been guided on how to wield these artifacts for the good of the world. A wave of understanding washed over Lucas. The pieces were beginning to fall into place. The Nythari's reverence for the Watcher, their connection to ancient prophecies, it all pointed to a deeper, more significant role in the unfolding events than he had previously imagined. So the dwarves, they took the relics from here? Mina asked, her voice laced with a hint of anger. Centuries ago, Vermicalis confirmed, his voice heavy with resentment. During a time of great upheaval and conflict, the dwarves, driven by their insatiable hunger for the riches within these mountains, breached the temple and in their ignorance plundered what they could not understand. The relics, radiating a power they could sense but not comprehend, fell into their hands, and with them, a vital part of our history and our connection to the Watcher was lost. He sighed, his shoulders slumping slightly. For generations, we have searched for a way back to this sacred place, hoping to reclaim what was stolen and to understand the true purpose of the relics. This tunnel, this could be the key. The weight of Vermicalis' words hung in the air, adding another layer of complexity to their already burdened mission. The Temple of Crystals was not just another location on their journey. It was a place of profound historical and spiritual significance, a place that held the potential to unlock not only the secrets of the relics, but also the very essence of the Watcher itself. As they continued their descent into the unknown, the anticipation in the air was palpable, mingled with a growing sense of the immense responsibility that lay ahead. The unexplored tunnel held the promise of answers, but also the potential for unforeseen dangers, as they ventured deeper into the heart of the ancient mountain.